everyone. Today we're going to be making chicken pad thai with a peanut sauce, also called a satay sauce in Thailand. My variation is an American fusion with the peanut butter. Most of your pad thai does not have peanut butter in it, but we love it and it really adds so much complex flavor to the pad thai. So to get started, the first thing we're going to do is soak our rice noodles. You can buy these noodles in your Oriental section of your supermarket. You could also use spiralized sweet potatoes. We have done that and you would not believe it tastes exactly like the noodles. You don't know that it's sweet potatoes. But anyway, they come in usually a pretty huge package like this. And for our recipe today, we're going to use half of these. And right here I have a pot of hot water. You can see how hot that is. And with rice noodles, it's strange. It's not like pasta where you actually cook them. You're just soaking them. And we're going to soak them for about 8 to 10 minutes. And while they're soaking, that gives you the perfect amount of time to do your chicken and your peanut sauce. So I just want to get a handful of these. You want to just eyeball it about half the package. The recipe I'm giving you today will serve 2 people. But if you obviously have more, you can use the whole package. And occasionally you want to go in here while they're soaking and just use some tongs and make sure that you're pulling the strands apart because you don't want them to stick together. But at the same time, they need to soften up. So while that's cooking, we'll get started on our chicken. Let's get started on our chicken breast. I bought 4 pounded thin breast from the supermarket. 2 is what we'll be using in our recipe today, but I'm going to go ahead and cut up 4 and cook it because you can always have that for another recipe. I find that a time saver. I'll go ahead and cook more than I need and put that up in a plastic bag in the fridge and use it for a salad or something else that I need. And you want bite-sized pieces. I usually stack my chicken together like this, and then I kind of make them uniform in a chunk because you want them bite-sized obviously for your recipe. And this recipe is great for shrimp. A lot of people like shrimp pad thai. I have made that before and that's really good. You could use tofu, especially for the vegans, vegetarians out there. Tofu is actually very good. It absorbs whatever flavor. I know it gets a bad rap, but it's actually really, really good. So we'll get this done and then we'll head to the skillet. You want to use a large skillet, the largest you can find for this preparation, because even though we're going to take the chicken out, we're going to all add that back in at the end and you need a pretty big surface to stir. So we have 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. And we're going to let that heat up until it's just shimmering, and we're going to add our chicken. All right, let's add our chicken to this pan. It's shimmering, as you can tell, so it's ready to go. I've got it on a medium heat. Just a little salt, a little pepper, and then we're going to leave this on a medium heat and medium high and let this go. It may not look like enough oil, but it is. It will definitely do the job you need it to do. So we'll just wait a couple of minutes until these are cooked through, and then we'll go to the next step. Now that we have the chicken done, and as you can see, it's not terribly brown, but they're done enough. You'll want to take it off to a plate. And I will mention the brown bits. Any of this brown goodness that's in the bottom of the pan, you want to keep that because that's going to be really good eats when you combine everything together. And the sauce, it'll loosen up those spots on the bottom of your skillet. And it'll just be delicious. So there we have that. Now let's move on. Now to make our peanut butter sauce, we're going to start with, of course, peanut butter. And we have a 1/2 cup of creamy peanut butter, not crunchy peanut. You want the creamy for this application. And it'll be a little challenging sometimes to get it out. There we go. We got that. And then next, we have a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. I'm using low sodium because I like to control the salt content, but either one is fine. And then we've got a 1/4 cup of lime juice. And that will be about 2 small limes. And I like to roll them first to get the juices flowing in them. Let me cut them, and I love my handy dandy lime squeezer. This is like one of the best things to have because it catches all your seeds. You just go right into the bowl. Then I also serve my pad thai with limes on the side, lime wedges. The acid is just such a good flavor. Get that other one cut up. I know there's all kinds of juicers out there, but I just don't have any time for those. This just works so well. Takes a little muscle, but there you go. That's the lime juice. Now we need 2 tablespoons of honey, which I'll tell you a trick. I actually sprayed my container with cooking spray. It helps just release that honey so well, as you can see. It just really makes it a lot easier for you. Next is 1 tablespoon of rice wine vinegar. And again, you can find this in the Oriental section of your supermarket. Then we've got 1 teaspoon of grated ginger, and this is fresh ginger. I never use the dried in this application. This is just so much better, the fresh is. And it smells so good. Then we have a teaspoon of toasted sesame oil. And this stuff is very potent. Use it in small quantities. But boy, is it good. Again, found in the Oriental aisle. And then we have 1 clove of garlic that's been smashed. I used a garlic press for this. Gotta have garlic. And then we have 2 dashes of fish sauce, also found in the Oriental section. It just gives it just some kind of good flavor. Now, we want to whisk all this together. And be very gentle at first if you don't want to splash it all over you because of that peanut butter. You got to kind of just start working it in until it loosens up. And I will tell you, once you have this all mixed up, depending on how thick it is, and the peanut butter really makes it thick, I usually start with a 1/4 cup of warm water and add warm water in small amounts until the sauce is the perfect consistency. Because you do want to adhere it to the noodles, but you don't want it clumping and being real thick either. So as you can see how that's coming together real nicely. That's pretty thin, so I don't know that we're going to need warm water on this one today. And you do want to taste it. So I'm going to dip the end of a spoon just so I can get a flavor. Oh, that is so good. It sounds so strange, I'm sure, to some people, peanut butter in a savory dish, but you will not regret this. It's so good. So that's our sauce. So let's move back to assembling our noodles and the chicken together. Now to assemble our pad thai, our last step, as you can see, I have the noodles. And I've got a tablespoon of vegetable oil in here. And I'm going to add 2 scrambled eggs to this. Now, I have 2 eggs that have been scrambled. Just want to pour them in. Kind of let them scramble in there with it, with your noodles. Just take a couple of minutes depending on how hot you're. And see how the brown is scraping up that I was talking about before? That's some good bits there from the flavor of the chicken. You have to kind of work fast. It's kind of like a wok with Chinese. So we're good with that. Now let's add our chicken back. All right. This is where your tong will be much more helpful now. Get that egg mixed all in there. Next is 1 can of bean sprouts. You can also find that in the Oriental section. And that's a very contributing factor to authentic pad thai. And I drained that, obviously, all the juice off of it. And last, we want to add our peanut sauce. I'm going to turn it off because the residual heat will finish this. And we just want to pour all this on there. May not look like enough, but it will coat it all. And if you like heat, I didn't mention this earlier, you can put some red pepper flakes or cayenne in your sauce or when you're dishing it up. If someone likes it really spicy, which I do, more so than my hubby. I'm the queen of red pepper flakes. We joke about it a lot. And as you can see, this is done, so I'm ready to dish this up into serving bowls. Well, it's a hearty portion, but boy is it good. I have some green onions here that I've cut on the diagonal, which makes for a really pretty presentation. Some cilantro. Some people like mint on top of it, which is probably pretty good too. I just prefer the cilantro. And then you can use peanuts, but I'm using crushed up cashews. It's so good. And then, to make it just beautiful, throw a couple of lime wedges in there. And then you have a wonderful plate of food. Now, the moment of truth, we taste it. And my hubby's gonna come in and join me because I just love having him with me to taste this food. He loves pad thai as much as I do. And it has to have a squeeze of lime on it.
Oh, yes.
All right, let's dig in and...
Normally behind the camera. It's nice when I can come and sample the goods.
Oh my goodness. It's so good. And that peanut butter is really subtle. It's not overwhelming, but it just puts another dimension in it. And I think you would love this, and I hope you all try this recipe.
There's so many layers, so many things going on in there. And they all go together. I would have to say that it tastes phenomenal.
And that's an inside joke, and we won't say any more, but we love that word. So, I hope you'll try this recipe. It's literally less than 30 minutes. And as I said, you could use any protein, shrimp. You can use tofu.
Beef.
Beef would be. I've not ever had beef pad thai, but I'm sure it would be good.
Kind of like the tender beef you do like for beef and broccoli. That would be good.
Very good. So if you like what you're seeing, I hope you will subscribe to our channel.
The La Ricetta Show.
Please get my word out there, my channel out there.
Yeah, and if you subscribe, remember to click on the little bell icon so that you'll be notified when we get more and more videos up. And we appreciate you watching. So, thanks.
Bye for now.